In a very beautiful and peaceful town called Olaolu, there lived a very pretty and gorgeous lady called Yetunde. Yetunde was blessed with a very beautiful body and stature, which made all the men and women in Olaolu look at her in admiration and sometimes envy whenever she walked past them in the village. Yetunde is also well respected because her father was among the few fortunate men who had traveled abroad in the town of Olaolu. The men and women of Olaolu town held great respect for anyone who has traveled abroad. They called them Abroadians and treated them very differently. Because of this, the unmarried ripe ladies of Olaolu all wanted to get married to an Abroadian. Whenever they see anyone who just returned from a different country, they became very desperate to win his heart and were willing to do anything to get married to him. This was because the family of anyone married to an Abroadian was given the same respect and honor as an Abroadian. Yetunde was in a relationship with a young, handsome and hardworking farmer called Dayo. They both loved each other and cared deeply for one another. Dayo owned a small piece of farmland on which he toiled day and night to earn a living. The people of Olaolu often wondered why Yetunde rejected all the handsome men in town just to choose Dayo, a small farmer with a very huge scar on his face, which made him scary and ugly. But no one knew why except Fumilayo, Yetunde's best friend. The love between Yetunde and Dayo grew stronger by each passing day, until one fateful December. In the town of Olaolu, the month of December is known to be joyful and very eventful because a lot of men and women that live in other parts of the country and the world often came to the village to celebrate the festive season. During this time, the ladies of Olaolu are usually excited because they get to meet bachelors and sometimes people coming from abroad, and they would try to impress and get married to them. During this festive season, Toby, a very handsome and rich bachelor who was rumored to be living in America, came to the town of Olaolu with his friend Charles for the festive season. When the women heard of Toby, he became the talk of the town. Toby rented a very beautiful duplex in the town of Olaolu and also had a very luxurious car, unlike anyone had ever seen. His outfits and jewelries were rumored to be very expensive as well, unlike the clothes which the men of Olaolu wore. And this made the women of the town fall head over heels in love with him. Whenever Toby drove by, all the women would stop and look at his car in admiration. And whenever he walked past them, they would start giggling and smiling, revealing their teeth like a roasted head of a goat. Toby knew this and would often show off just to make them admire him more. Toby could have any woman he wanted in Olaolu. All he needed to do was ask and they would give themselves freely to him, in hopes that he would get married to them and take them with him when he's finally going back to America. It was every woman's dream in Olaolu and they were ready to do anything to make it a reality. One fateful day, Toby was on his way to visit his friend Charles when he saw Yetunde and Fumilayo walking along the path he was driving. He was instantly captivated by Yetunde's beauty and poise. He loved how she laughed and talked. Toby quickly parked his car some miles ahead, rolled down the glasses of his car, and pressed his horn to signal the two ladies. Immediately Fumilayo saw Toby through the window of the car. She started smiling sheepishly. "This is Toby, the wealthy Abroadian everyone is talking about. I think he wants to talk to us," Fumilayo said with excitement. But Yetunde simply hissed and continued walking. Fumi was surprised at Yetunde's reaction, so she ran after her and asked her, "Don't you want to get married to an Abroadian?" When Toby saw that they weren't budging, he came down from his car and went to meet them. "Hi, ladies. How are you? My name is Toby." Fumi was so excited and started to blush when she saw Toby. She quickly answered without hesitation. My name is Fumilayo. I am the daughter of Chief Sheun. It's nice to meet you, sir, she replied in a hurry and with excitement. But Toby wasn't interested in Fumilayo. His eyes were focused on Yetunde. He had expected that Yetunde would be excited and happy that he came to meet them, but Yetunde's reaction came to him as a shock. She acted as if he was invisible. Toby drew closer to Yetunde and asked her what her name was. But before Yetunde would say anything, Fumilayo quickly answered, "Her name is Yetunde. She's my friend." Suddenly, Yetunde told him in a harsh tone, "Thanks for telling us your name. As you can see, we are headed somewhere when you stopped us. Can we leave now?" Fumilayo tried to hold her back, but Yetunde walked away from the both of them. "Please don't be offended, sir. She's not in a good mood. Please forgive her," Fumilayo said, and she ran to join Yetunde as she called out to her. Toby froze like a block of ice as the two women walked away. No woman in Olaolu had ever spoken to him in such manner. He became very speechless and also felt very embarrassed. He looked around to be sure that no one was watching. Then he walked back to his car and drove off. As he drove to his friend's place, his heart was filled with anger and rage. "I must sleep with that lady no matter what it will cost me." When Toby got to his friend's house, Charles could tell that something was bothering him. "What is the matter?" Charles asked. Toby took a deep breath and narrated all that happened on his way to Charles. "You needed to see the way she ignored me like a piece of trash, despite the fact that her friend was all over me. She just walked out on me like that, as if I was a common beggar. No woman has ever treated me like that in this town. I want that girl, and I must have her, no matter what it cost me," Toby boasted. Toby spent the whole day looking for ways to win Yetunde's heart. He wondered why she was different from the other women. After thinking for a while, he decided to meet Fumilayo. The next day, he went in search of Chief Sheun's compound and was very fortunate to meet Fumilayo in front of the compound cooking. When Fumi saw him, she was very happy once again. She offered him a seat. Toby explained to Fumilayo why he had come. "I like your friend, and I would like to marry her and take her back with me when I'm going back to America. Can you help me?" He lied to her. Toby could see the disappointment in Fumilayo's face, so he promised her that he would introduce her to his friend Charles, if she can help him win Yetunde's heart. "If I get married to her, and my friend gets married to you, then we'll all travel back to America next year," Toby assured her. Fumilayo foolishly considered his proposal out of desperation and told him all she knew about her best friend. "My friend Yetunde is in a relationship with a farmer called Dayo. They both love each other very much, and this is because Dayo risked his life to save her from being sexually assaulted many years ago. A lot of men wanted to marry Yetunde, but she refused everyone's advances. 3 men she once rejected teamed up and decided to ambush her in the forest and have her forcefully. But fortunately for her, Dayo came to her rescue before they had their way. He sustained a lot of injuries, including a huge scar on his face. Yetunde loves Dayo for his braveness and pure heart, for saving her instead of joining hands with the men who tried to defile her. No one knows of this except me. If you want to win her heart, approach her parents instead." Toby thanked Fumilayo for her assistance and went to Yetunde's house to pay her a visit. Her parents were very happy to receive Toby as a guest. However, Yetunde was not at home when he came visiting. Yetunde's father and Toby got along so well, and they had a lot to talk about because they had been to America in the past. The 2 men talked as if they had known each other for ages. Yetunde's mother was also very excited to see Toby. She could guess that he came to see their daughter, and she had already imagined the respect the other women would give her when her daughter gets married to an Abroadian as well. While the two men were discussing, Yetunde entered the house. She was very shocked to see Toby in her house, smiling and laughing with her father. She greeted the both of them and walked inside when her father called her back to join them. "My daughter, do you know that this man here lived close to the house I stayed in when I went to America?" her father said with a smile on his face. "A small word indeed," Yetunde said with her facial expression showing that she wasn't interested in the conversation. When Toby saw that Yetunde was not happy to see him, he excused himself and left their house. After he left, Yetunde's father and mother called her and started talking to her about Toby, trying to convince her to give him a chance in her life. "This is a great opportunity for you to travel abroad and become an Abroadian yourself. Do you intend to spend the rest of your life in this small village?" her father asked her. "You foolish girl, do you want to be wretched forever? What future would Dayo give you? That peasant farmer?" Yetunde's mother asked her. "But I don't love him. The person I love is Dayo. He's the one I want to spend the rest of my life with. Can love be senseless? Do you want to have the kind of life I had with your father? Why do you want to spend the rest of your life with a man that cannot afford to take care of himself?" Yetunde's mother said to her, "If you are so sure that Dayo loves you, tell him that he has a week to come and pay your dowry, or else you will get married to Toby." Out of anger, her parents left her and walked away. Yetunde became very heartbroken. She ran to Dayo's house and told him what her parents said. Dayo felt very sad because he didn't have money to pay Yetunde's dowry. He only had one piece of land, and it would be foolish for him to sell the source of his livelihood to marry a woman. The next day, Dayo went to see Yetunde's parents. He went on his knees and pleaded with her parents to give him some time to raise the money for the dowry. "I may not have gold and silver, but I swear I would put my life on the line for your daughter's safety and happiness." "Mama, he risked his life to save me many years ago. This scar on his face was because he was trying to save me. Please, Baba, give us more time." Yetunde's father refused to listen to their pleas. "You can't take care of our daughter. She is above your class. Please, stand up and leave this place if you do not have what it takes to pay her dowry. If it is because you save her, tell us how much would cover your pain and we would pay you." Dayo stood up in shame and left their house. As he was leaving, he saw Toby driving into the compound with his car. Dayo stood at a distance and watched as Toby offloaded the boot of his car with yams, bags of rice and food items which he bought for Yetunde's parents. He bowed his head in shame and walked away, feeling defeated and embarrassed. It was then that Yetunde knew that she had lost the battle. Toby had won the heart of her parents, and it was clear that he was the one they wanted. Toby also smiled in his heart, knowing that he had placed Yetunde in a tight spot, and it was only a matter of time before she entered his net. Toby introduced Fumilayo to his friend Charles, just as they promised Fumilayo, and they became lovers. Every day, Toby would visit Yetunde with beautiful gifts to win her heart. He would often assist her with chores and do anything to keep her company. It didn't take long before Yetunde decided to let go of Dayo and give Toby a chance in her life. Gradually, Yetunde became attracted to Toby and his treats. However, whenever Toby tried to get intimate with Yetunde, she would resist him. "I can't let you touch me until we get married," Yetunde always told him. Because of this, Toby decided that he would get married to Yetunde just to achieve his aim. In less than 3 weeks after they were together, Toby asked Yetunde to marry him. "Marry me, so you'll be my legal wife and we'll travel to America together when I'm leaving," Toby told her with all seriousness in his face. It came as a shock, and Yetunde was skeptical at first, but the thought of traveling to America clouded her reasoning and she accepted to marry him. Her father tried to advise her. Don't you think it is too early to make this decision? Why don't you study him a bit more? But Yetunde's mother was more concerned about having an Abroadian as a son-in-law, so she was just in complete support of the wedding. 3 days after Toby's proposal to Yetunde, they had a very grand wedding in which money was really spent. There was enough for everyone to eat and drink. It was a feast to be remembered. One fateful morning, Funmilayo woke up feeling very weak and tired. She went to the hospital for a test and the doctors told her that she was pregnant. Funmilayo felt very happy that she was pregnant for an Abroadian and knew that Charles would definitely marry her and take her back with him when he was going back to America. She gathered courage after witnessing the grand wedding which Toby had with Yetunde. She decided that she would visit Charles and tell him of her pregnancy. She prepared her mind and headed down to the hotel where Charles lodged. But when she got to his room, she knocked on the door and a woman answered. Funmilayo was very upset, but she controlled her anger and told the woman that she was looking for Charles. The woman became very confused. She explained to Funmilayo that she booked the room the previous night and she doesn't know anyone by the name Charles. Funmilayo felt like the world was crashing at her feet. She went to meet the receptionist inquiring about Charles, but the receptionist told her that Charles left their hotel 2 days ago with his bags. She was told that he booked a flight to America before he left and was picked up by the airport taxi. Funmilayo quickly dialed his number, but it wasn't reachable. Her legs suddenly became heavy and her heart started racing very fast. She didn't know what to do. She hurriedly left the hotel and ran to Yetunde's house to ask Toby about Charles. But when she got there, she was told that it was too late because Yetunde and Toby had just left for the airport. When Toby and Yetunde got to the airport, Yetunde was very happy that finally she would be also called an Abroadian. Unknown to her that things were about to take a different turn. As they passed through the checkpoint, the security guards searched through their bags. After searching Toby's bags, they let him through, but they found hard drugs in Yetunde's bag. Yetunde was very shocked because she didn't know how the drugs got there. The police arrested her while Toby was allowed to board the flight. The news of Yetunde's predicament spread through the town of Olaolu like wildfire. It took the intervention of the king before she was released by the police. Unfortunately for her, she was already pregnant. It was later discovered that Toby was a married man who already had 4 beautiful kids in America, and Charles was his business partner. However, they returned every Christmas to a new village to smuggle drugs into America using unsuspecting and desperate girls. If they are caught at the airport security, they would go scot-free while the woman would be implicated. But if they were fortunate to bypass security, they would sell the drugs, make huge amounts of money, and also sell the girl to human traffickers to work as a sexed slave, and then they would make more money. Yetunde and Funmilayo regretted their actions. They wished they had been wiser and patient. Yetunde's ex-boyfriend Dayo eventually struck gold. Crude oil was discovered on his land and he was paid handsomely for the land. He traveled out of the country and no one ever saw him again. Yetunde and Funmilayo became a lesson for other girls to learn from. The moral lesson of this story reminds us that a bird in hand is better than 10 in the bush. It is wise to stick to someone you truly know, instead of dumping him for someone new that you are yet to completely know. The devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. If Yetunde remained with Dayo, or at least studied Toby very well, she might have been saved. The fact that you did good for someone doesn't mean they are expected to reward you. Do good because it is right, and not in expectation of a reward. The universe will always reward you. Parents should let their children marry who their children is in love with, and should never force them to marry a rich man because of wealth and greed, because the end might be very, very bad.